All right. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. We are about to start our class. This is for Unit 1. Remember that we're talking about vocabulary and, of course, business vocabulary. So today, we're going to talk not just about vocabulary in general, but it's going to be more related to phrases, common phrases in the job, business, but that are not straightly translated. If you hear these phrases and you try to go through a translator, like if you type it on Google just like that, and you ask, hey, translate for me, it's so probable that the translation will be wrong. It will not be the correct one because that's what is called idioms, which are phrases. It could be one word or a phrase that has a different meaning. And for this class, it has a meaning for the work, for the workplace. So let's start. So the point that we are studying today is 1.2, useful phrases for business meetings. Let's go. Let's go on. And I'm going to be referring to those. I'm not giving you extra homework this time because you are working on a big glossary this week. But next week, we're going to
Yes,
put them
we
together.
are.
Yes, I know,
Thank
Carmen. So, yeah, you're welcome. So next week, when you are done with that one, we're going to put together those words from the glossary and these phrases, and we're going to do a different assignment where you are going to be interacting by using these phrases and the vocabulary from your glossary. So we'll see. We'll see, but for that, you just need to pay attention today. And if you can, please participate. You're welcome to participate. Don't hesitate to participate, meaning of no se detenga a participar. Don't hesitate. No le tenga miedo. All right, so let's start. The outline for today, so what this presentation is made of is, like I said, made of phrases and idioms for business English. So it is a list of useful phrases. I can hear anything. It's raining here, so I have a bad internet connection. That's a message. I'm just reading a message from Connie. So I'm just going to answer back. Just give me a second. Sorry about that. If you want to apply again, that's fine. And I just answered back to Connie with some idiom also. Because I asked her to plug again, which it doesn't make sense because she's a person. So I just said the meaning of it is get outside the video conference and come back. But it was a short idiom. So let's see. The first one, we're going to go straight to it. So let's cut corners. It's what I'm doing right now. Going straight to it. Let's see the example. The new filing system won't work if we cut corners. That doesn't make sense, but let's try to understand what the meaning of it is. To cut corners is to complete a task in a fast and careless way. It's like, okay, let's just do it. But there could be a problem when you try to just cut corners because you may end up doing the job wrong or with some mistakes. That's what it means to do it in a careless way. To do something without paying attention to details, thereby making mistakes, like I was saying, like I was mentioning. Making mistakes is so possible when you are talking about cut corners. I included an example here. you can see this cartoon. There's two people speaking of a project, and they are probably going to cut corners, and the end product won't be right. Let's see it. I need a budget estimate for my project, but I don't have a scope or a design for it yet. Okay, my estimate is 3,583,729. And then the other guy is like, you don't know anything about my project. That makes two of us. So it's like, huh, you're cutting corners, but you're not basing your data in anything. But it's probable. There's a lot of people who may end up working very fast, but not paying attention to what it's supposed to be paid or what they're supposed to be doing. So this is a common phrase. And just to make sure that you know where I got it, that information, I got this information from Miranda Parr. There is a blog publication that it is on business English terms and idioms. And I got it from the webpage Reply. Okay, so if you want to learn a little more about this, just go click on it, and then there's a bigger explanation of everything that it said here. So that's one, cut corners. Let's see the next one. Let's go and check the next one. Back to the drawing board. Like I'm saying, none of these phrases make sense to translate them. Don't try to translate them. O sea, no estén tratando de estas frases, tratar de traducirlas. No, because it doesn't make sense. They don't have a meaning on translation, but they are common phrases. So you need to learn them because you might end up hearing them at your job. And then since you are studying them here, you will be able to understand them, which is pretty cool, huh? Okay, let's see the example of what it means to back to the drawing board. There's two examples here. The first one, the client hated your proposal, so we'll have to go back to the drawing board. Second example, he's going back to the drawing board on this one. The actual meaning is what I put here. I put a little sticker there that it says to do it again, to start again. That's the meaning of back to the drawing board, to start again. So here's the definition. It says to go back to the drawing board means to start again from the beginning with a completely new idea. The phrase makes you think a blackboard being wiped clean. It is most often used when an idea or project is rejected. Yeah, you have to start again. And there's another one that I hear that is common. So it's like, and it has the same meaning as this one. I'm gonna write it here. I'm gonna choose penguin because it's closer to the color, which back to the drawing board could also mean start from scratch. And again, it doesn't have the actual meaning of a translation, of a dictionary. Start from scratch and back to the drawing board. They have the same meaning, like start new again from the beginning. Go and do it again, but start new. It sounds quite friendly when you use it to say that you're scrapping your own idea. Asking someone else to go back to the drawing board on a project is usually a bit strong. For example, if your boss, if your professor asks you to go back to the drawing board, it's like understanding that all that you were doing doesn't work. It's not good. It's not okay. So you have to start back again. That's the actual meaning of back to the drawing board. So yes, if you hear it from your boss, it's like, you better go and start back to the drawing board as fast as you can because you have to do it again. If you have any questions, tell me to stop. Otherwise, just pay attention and do your writing, your notes, take some notes, and we go forward. Call it a day, huh? Call it a day. Like I'm saying, it doesn't have a meaning of the dictionary because call, it's to phone someone. And then call it a day, you cannot call a day. So again, it doesn't have a meaning from a dictionary. It has a meaning of a phrase used commonly, and here we're using it for the workplace, at the job. Examples, right team, we've made plenty of progress. I think it's time to call it a day. Second example, the trial hasn't worked. I'm afraid we're going to have to call it a day. So what's the meaning? To call it a day means that you are giving up on something. Okay, we haven't finished, we can't finish, we are tired. So we should just call it a day. It's enough, we are tired, so we should just call it a day. To call it a day means that you are giving up. This can refer to taking a break on a project because you have reached a good point to stop. So that's also another meaning. You can just stop, take some rest, and you can say the phrase, call it a day. It can be negative or it can also mean positive, because if you are just taking a rest, sometimes it's just necessary. So it will always depend on the context. If you take the phrase literally, it's a phrase stating that the working day is officially over. Literally, it means when someone says, let's call it a day. So it's like, it's over. I, as a professor, could mention it the same way. When we finish the class, I could say, let's call it a day. And you will say like, oh, yes, we're free to go. Uh-huh. Yeah, it's like that. Yes, Carmen?
So I can say I call it a day with the glossary.
Well, if you're working
Me
right now
too.
and if you just finish, you can say it that way. Yes.
Okay, call it a day.
You need a rest. So that's fine. You can just call it a day and then continue, which is perfect. Yes, it's a good use. Just sometimes in the context that you were using, Carmen, sometimes you are just stressed out and it's not working. You are looking for, in this case, you're looking for definitions and then you're getting tired and then you are not finding those definitions. So you are not moving. So it's better to call it a day and continue after. And it could be not today, it could be tomorrow. Call it a day could be at any point on a day, or it could mean at the end of the day. So you can call it a day by now and it's fine. All right, next one, workflow. That's another thing. If you look it up on the dictionary, workflow, it's more related to this image that I'm showing you here at the right. You can see the image that it's showing a flow chart. And so the word literally will refer to a work diagram. But when you are using it related to the work that you are working at, then it has a different meaning. Let's take a look at it. Examples. I am having some workflow issues and won't be able to help you until next week. How is your workflow at the moment? So what's the meaning on it? Let's see the meaning. This extremely ungrammatical business phrase has become very common in offices. Take a look at that. The use is against grammar, but it's so common. It's part of English and it's part of business English. So we need to learn it. We need to learn how it's used so that when we hear it, we don't misunderstand the meaning of it. Workflow, like what it says here, unsurprisingly refers to the pace that an employee is set tasks and expected to complete them by. What's the meaning of that? Okay. In the examples, when it says the first example, I'm having some workflow issues, it's saying the work that I'm working right now is not going anywhere. I'm having trouble. When you say workflow issues, is related to your planning, is related to not getting results. So it's the combination of those two. So you have to look at the context also. And then the other example over there that says workflow, how's your workflow at the moment? It's related to how is your work going? But the word is, instead of saying, how's your work going? They say, how's your workflow at the moment? It's the same thing. All right, so how's your workflow means it's a way of asking a colleague whether they have too much work to do or whether they feel underused. People can be reluctant to answer or ask a direct question about how busy they are at their job. So this is a polite way to talk about the problem, a polite way, a nice way to ask. All right, so next one, because we have a lot of them. Touch base. This is a funny one because there is a baseball term for this. In baseball, players touch base with their feet in order to be safe or to record an out. So for those baseball fans, you already heard this phrase, but that's not the meaning for business English. Let's see an example. If you could just touch base with Ritesh after the meeting, that will be great. So what's the real meaning of this? Let's see the definition. To touch base with someone is to talk to them, whether digitally or in person. So to touch base actually means to get together with the other person. It could mean touch base to go to your boss, go to the director, go to the manager and meet with them. That's touching base. It usually describes keeping someone up to date with developments on something you're both working on. I put an example here that keeps saying it, and then you have the two people talking about that. The first person says, I know business is not great, but we are all in the same boat. Don't worry too much. And then the second person answers back, thanks, Mary. Let's touch base next week to discuss this then. So he's referring to, let's meet again to talk about this project. That's touching base. So let's touch base about your vocabulary next week. Next one, reach out. To reach out is actually to contact someone. Let's see the example. Don't hesitate to reach out to Helen if you have any questions. And like any professor will say to you, don't hesitate to look for advice if you need. Just use your phone, come see me, send me a DM, which is a direct message, and we'll talk about it. So let's reach out to each other. Let's reach out. To reach out is to get in contact with someone, usually a person who you do not know well. It is very common, but when you first hear it, seems like a very strange use of the word reach, which implies physical stretching. So it's about contacting. Let's contact each other. Let's reach out. Another funny one, keep me in the loop. If you try to translate this, don't ever try it. Just learn the use of it. Keep me in the loop. Examples. Keep Stuart in the loop when discussing the merger, please. Keep me in the loop on decisions about the targets for the next quarter. It's about keeping informed another person. That's keep me in the loop. Tell me, keep telling me, keep informing me. So let's see the definition here. To keep me, her, him, or them in the loop means to keep someone involved and updated about developments in a project. It comes from looping someone into an email chain, that is copying them into the digital conversation. So that's the loop, like a cycle, keeps going. And it keeps all the information from start to end. It comes from there, the definition of it, but keep me in the loop, it's I'm asking you to keep informing me. Keep telling me of the developments of what you're doing. You can keep someone in the loop by informing them of what happens in meetings and alerting them when decisions are made. Keep me in the loop. All right. Another one, drill down into. And I chose this picture because the literal translation of it is what you're seeing in this picture. Over there, you see a drill and it's drilling down. And it's vocabulary, which is practically cool, but the phrase has a different meaning. Drill down into. Let's see an example. I think we can drill down into this further when we meet with the product team. To drill down into something is to explore it in more depth. So it is to try to understand or to explain more about a topic to someone or to a group of people. To drill down into, to go deep into what you're trying to explain. To drill down into. Let's see the next one. As of yet. This is one of those that is grammatically incorrect, but is used. So since this is common English for business English, so we need to study it. As of yet. Let's see the example. As of yet, we have no plans to hire a social media manager. This is very commonly seen in emails and means at the moment. So grammatically speaking, the best use will be to say at the moment, but it's very common to hear this, as of yet. So, and it means as right now, as today, at this moment, as of yet. And that's what it means when it says this is another time when business jargon defies English grammar rules. It goes against the grammar rules, yet still comes across as formal. You will find it in a formal meeting, in a formal job meeting, that people will say that. And it sounds formal, but it's totally against grammar because you don't mix as and yet just in the same little phrase. You need more words in between to make sense for grammar, but it makes sense as a full phrase just because it's used in business as of yet. Let's see the next one. Forward planning. Yeah, it makes sense. It is about planning, but let's see. Example, I think we need a degree of forward planning on this issue. Let's see the definition. Many business terms make basic concepts sound complicated in order to come across a little more impressive. And this is one of them. Forward planning. It just means planning. It's about planning. And what I'm showing here in this whiteboard here, You're going to see this commonly. It's very common to find this type of planning in different companies. But yeah, we're only talking about planning. But it sounds nicer if you say forward planning. But the meaning of forward, if we separate the words, the meaning of forward is like that, like keep moving and keep moving to the front. So when you combine planning forward or forward planning, it's like, okay, you're planning for your future. So it sounds better or fancier, but it has, in the end, it has the same meaning as planning. But you can hear sometimes at the workforce, that they are going to say forward planning. It's just used. Okay. At the end of the day, that's another one that it's so common, very, very common. Let's see what it means and now why I'm saying that it is so common. The example, at the end of the day, we did the best we could in a difficult situation. So the definition for it says, despite the reference to the ending of the day, this phrase has nothing to do with time or with going home after work. It means when everything is taken into consideration and is used to signify that a speaker is giving their concluding statement on a matter. It can be exchanged for the word ultimately. At the end of the day, it's often heard in business English, but it's also quite informal. But a lot of people use this one at the end of the day. So the actual meaning is we tried a lot. We might have ended up with results or not, with positive results or negative results, it doesn't matter. Here's the thing, at the end of the day, we give it all. So it is the way it's used at the end of the day. Proactive, this is a good one because there's another class that you're actually taking, and proactive on that class, it talks about skills. It's a skill that a person should have, but over here, it's also to explain about a skill, but it's also to refer to a person. In general, how it should be working. Let's see the example. I will really appreciate if you could be proactive on attracting new clients, George. Let's see the definition. This word is not solely used in corporate speak, but it is overused in an office setting. To be proactive is to take the initiative in something, which usually means embarking on a new task yourself without waiting for your colleagues or boss to prompt you. It might also mean making the first step in contacting someone you are going to work with. Proactive. It's this is not a phrase, it's just one word, but it's used a lot. And I liked it a lot because you are studying this also in a different class. And I'm using this image here that says not reactive, proactive. Good one, huh? Action points. What's the meaning of action points? Let's see. Examples. I came out of the meeting with 3 action points. 1, email facilities about the printer, etc. Second example. As an action point, I will listen to some training podcasts. Let's see the definition for it. Action points are, as you might guess, proposals for specific actions to be taken. This phrase is often heard towards the end of a meeting or written at the end of a long email. Action point. Which could also be like, that's what I chose to show you a meeting picture where people is taking notes, because during a meeting, people write down what's going to follow after the meeting. What are the actions that need to be taken from the acknowledgments that everybody made over there? Sometimes they agreed on some things, and then people on a meeting also writes down those agreements and then the actions to make those agreements possible. So those are action points, and it's very common to see it on business English. Again, this thing is it is not grammatical, but it's useful since it flags up that you intend to translate ideas from a discussion into practical results. Like grammatically speaking, doesn't make sense, but it has a meaning. Action points. Take action. All right. So following that one, there's another one that is to action or actionable. Let's see examples. First example, I love your idea about painting the fence, but I don't think it's actionable at the moment. So it means that it might not be possible. That's a good idea. I'm going to action that this afternoon. So the actual meaning is to action or actionable is to do it. But it's a different way of saying it. Instead of just using the word to do, the verb to do, you can call it to action. Let's see the definition for it. Strictly speaking, the word action is a noun. However, in business English, it is often used as a verb. To action something just means to do it. The word action makes the mundane act of getting a task completed sound more dynamic and important. Similarly, to describe something as actionable means that it is possible to get it done. Actionable or to action. Is it actionable to finish your glossary? Yes, of course. You just have to do it. I'm using the example for that. Next one, cut to the chase. What does it mean to cut to the chase? Get to the point. Direct translation and get to the point is the same thing, is another idiom, another phrase. Let's see an example. Let's cut to the chase. Are you going to finish the report on time or not? So like, don't make excuses, just tell me. To cut to the chase means to get to the point without wasting time. It was first used in the movie industry to mean skip to the car chase. It's an example when it came. The most interesting and action-packed part. So if you're interested in on learning a little more about that, go and watch the movie. It's called Industry. It is quite an informal and lesser used business idiom, but a useful term to be aware of. I think that I have heard a little more this one, get to the point. That's what I chose this picture that I'm showing to you here, that it says there, it mentions that, get to the point, but it's the same, cut to the chase, cut to the chase. Next one, get the ball rolling. It's not an actual ball and put it to roll, no. Example, hopefully we can get the ball rolling on the new pitch next week. What does it mean? To get the ball rolling means to get started on something, to begin making meaningful progress. Get the ball rolling. At this point, you should be thinking, what's going on with English? It is like that. There's a lot of phrases and idioms, but in Spanish, as it is your mother language, my mother language also, we have several phrases like this too. So it is common that a non-native speaker will not know them if that person doesn't study them. That's why we're taking the time to study these type of phrases, because you may end up having to work with a person who is not a native Spanish speaker, and it's very used to English, and then that person is going to be using these type of phrases, and you need to understand them. So get the ball rolling. Next one, stay ahead of the curve. Let's see what it means. Example, we need to stay ahead of the curve, otherwise our competitors will wipe us out. Our competitors. What does it mean? Let's see. Something, for instance, a product or company that is ahead of the curve is more advanced than others of its kind. The curve refers to a line on an imaginary graph that shows the growth of a trend. Here's an example also from Instagram. For instance, Instagram was ahead of the curve in anticipating how much people will enjoy sharing pictures of their lunch. Yes, Instagram is an app, an application for social networking, and it's just about pictures sharing and a little comment, but most of it refers to the state of your mood, and it's also a lot about food. There's lots of pictures about food, and that's what it's referring here. To stay ahead of the curve is to maintain any advantage that you have gained over the competition. And I want to add something here that you learned before. To stay ahead of the curve, you as industrial engineers do something, which is called benchmarking. Remember that one? I hope you remember what benchmarking means. But it keeps you ahead of the curve. It is also sometimes used more generally to describe the need to work hard to avoid losing progress. So yes, I just wanted to remind you that benchmarking is related to this. Let's go to the next one. Due diligence. What does it mean to do diligence? Okay. Example. We've done our due diligence and none of the other contractors seem more qualified. Let's see the definition. Until very recently, due diligence was a term only used in a legal context. It used to describe the action that is considered reasonable for people to take in order to stay safe and on the correct side of the law. But in business jargon, due diligence refers to the necessary research behind a good decision. So it actually means do your homework, do your research, means due diligence. If you have done your due diligence, then you have given an issue the attention it deserves and weighted alternatives to the solution you intend to take. That's due diligence. Be diligent. Take your time. Do your homework. Due diligence. Next one. Best practice. Examples. The CEO decided that clear desks are best practice. Second example, I uploaded it following all the SEO best practices. Best practice is a method accepted to be the most effective means of doing something. They can be industry-wide or specific to a company. A best practice. Many businesses encourage employees to follow a set of best practices describing a company handbook. That is, the rules, procedures, and techniques to use in a day-to-day operation. Best practice. So, the best practice of an Universidad de la Sierra student is to pay attention, to be proactive, to complete the tasks, and so on. Yes, the best practice. I just made some examples and hope that you got them. Upskill. Let's see what an upskill means. Example, we chose to upskill a junior employee rather than hire someone senior straight away. It means this business term is another formal but ungrammatical replacement for an existing word, to train. To some people, upskilling sounds more youthful, nicer than just saying training. But to upskill is to train someone and to give more skills to that someone. Upskill. Nice, huh? It means train, to train. Dynamic. Woo. Yes, like the picture that I'm showing here. Example, we launched a dynamic new website in February. The word dynamic is not exclusively to corporate speak, but it's overused in professional life. It is often heard as a more office-friendly way of saying exciting, interesting, or new. Then people use the word, oh, this is dynamic. Let's make it more dynamic. Let's do it dynamically. It's about working in something interesting, exciting, dynamic. Next one. Streamline. Example for streamline. We need to streamline the archiving process. Far too many files are getting lost. Let's see the definition. To streamline something is to simplify the process. That's what I chose to show you literally something very similar here and there. But we can design something that goes on a hard way, or we can design something that goes just straight to make it easier. It says here, thereby getting rid of unnecessary work. Be aware if someone talks of streamlining your team. The word is sometimes used to hint that non-essential employees will soon lose their job. So it's also used for a second meaning. If someone mentions that your group might get a streamline, it actually means that there's people that is not working and they don't need them and they're gonna get fired. Bye. So it has these two meanings, making something more simple, but it has the other meaning for a group of workers. You don't want that to happen to you. All right, next one. Align. To align something. Let's see the example. I think we need to align with the customer service department on this issue. To align. It's actually to team, to pair with someone. Business with high staff numbers often talk about alignment between teams. This means ensuring that different departments are working towards the same goals and not accidentally working against each other or doing similar tasks without sharing what they have learned. It's about aligning, it's about working together. To align, that's what I shows this picture when there is 4 people trying to finish the puzzle. So it's like everyone aligning at the same purpose. If your boss says you need to align on something, that usually means a meeting is coming up soon. Be aware of that. Go the extra mile. Example, we always go the extra mile for our customers, meaning that we do extra for the client. The meaning of go the extra mile is to go the extra mile is to put more effort into a task in order to gain a result which is even better than necessary. If someone says you went the extra mile on a project, they're praising your work ethic. They're saying that you did a lot. And I chose different type of picture here to show you something. Here on the right side, you can see it says think outside the box. I've chosen to use it here on go the extra mile because it works with this phrase. This is another phrase that it's commonly used and mainly speaking for jobs. Think outside the box. The box, which means expand your thoughts. Go extra also. Do more. Don't enclose yourself. Stop the paradigm of believing that you can do it. Think outside the box. So that's another one that I'm including here. Think outside the box. Okay. So let's see. Next one. Expedite. What does it mean? This actually translates very easy to speed up. An example, can you ask Basil to expedite the payment process for these, please? The word expedite is a little old-fashioned for standard conversation, but it is commonly heard in business English. It is a formal way of saying speed up, to accelerate something, expedite. You can hear it commonly saying it in business English, to expedite. Down the line, very much used a lot to talk about timing goals, long-term, short-term, mid-term. Example, they won't make a difference now, but we will benefit from positive reviews down the line. Down the line. Down the line is a friendly expression for at some point in the future. It generally refers to an action that will occur in a few months or years' time, but this time frame is back. Anything that is promised down the line will almost certainly happen. Down the line. For example, I can make another example here. If you're using an extra way to produce the power for electricity in your house. For example, if you are using solar panels will be costly. It will cost you a lot of money. But down the line, you will spend less money by paying to the power company. So down the line is better for you. And it's also better for the environment to use renewable energy. Down the line, there is a profit for everyone. Down the line. Meaning, yes, it could be in the near future or it could be a long term. But yes, you are sure when saying down the line, something will happen. Down the line. Micromanage. Let's see what it means. Example, Olga is a good boss. She doesn't micromanage her team. The meaning of this is somehow negative. This is a negative word co-workers might use to discuss the behavior of controlling bosses. To micromanage someone means literally to manage them on a micro level. It's to don't give power to your team, to no one in your group. So it's like, oh no, I'm the boss. I'm just the manager. And you don't have a voice. That's micromanage. To watch the details of their work too closely instead of giving them the chance to get on with it and take responsibility themselves. That, in the opposite way, is what we call empowerment. But if the empowerment doesn't happen, so I need to write that word down. So the opposite is to empower the employees or to give them empowerment. Okay, that's what I'm referring to. If your boss stands behind your desk and edits your emails, you might feel that they are micromanaging you. If your boss is not letting you decide or do anything by yourself, you're being micromanaged. So this is something that shouldn't happen. And in your other class, I like this one. The other class that you're taking that is called leadership, then you are discussing about this. Micromanage will go against leadership. This is not a true leader. So for you to understand what micromanage is, I'm also referring to that. Here is an example also on this picture, a tip. If you want to destroy your department on purpose, then start managing your people from the closet to the wall. So like, don't give them any voice, push them down, look at them down, treat them wrong. So that's micromanagement. Don't do it. You already know that that's not leadership, but it's often used, the word micromanage. Going forward. So what does it mean to go forward? So there's two examples here, but it's actually the phrase going forward is extremely common used, especially in emails. It is a more formal way to say from now onwards. From now, we are moving positively. We keep on working. Going forward, I want you to work on your time management. Going forward. It refers to an action that will start now and continue in the immediate future indefinitely. Keep moving forward. Right, next one. Let go. Let go of it. It's not the same as let's go. Let's includes the S. This is let go. Examples. We need to let Simon go. He has been very late almost every day this month. Due to budget cuts, half on the video team has been let go. Let go is a gentle way of discussing employee being fired or made redundant. Let go is referred to that. You're letting people go. You're fighting people. You're saying bye. Go your own way. It is more commonly heard than fired, since it is considered much more polite. Yeah, you don't usually use the word fired, especially if you're management in any company. You will say, we have to let him go or let her go. The word let sounds like it could
Let it go.
yeah, well, yeah, exactly. And in the song, Carmen, that you're referring to, Let It Go, that is from Frozen, right? The Frozen movie. He's saying that way. Let it go. Leave it.
Yes.
Let it in the past. Leave it. Don't complicate yourself with it anymore. This character, Elsa, was so worried about what people thought about her. She was afraid she wouldn't move. She wouldn't show her capabilities. But the song Letting Go is about that. Don't worry about that anymore and leave. So in the workplace, letting go, it refers to people that you need to let go because they're not useful, they're not helping, and they are making you worried. And you're paying people that don't work. So you have to let it go. Yes. Next one, close of play. Example, we're going to need the report by close of play Wednesday. The meaning of is, this is one of the many English idioms which was stolen from the world of sport. In cricket, there's another sport like the one that we were saying about rolling the ball, that from baseball, but it doesn't mean that. This one is from cricket. Close of play refers to the end of a day's matches. In office, it refers to the end of the working day. Close of play. We're going to close of play. So it might mean the end of today, but it also might mean the due date. That's what I shows this picture here that is a warning. Due dates are closer than they appear. The end of it. Close of play. Next one. So we finished with this one for today. I'm also recommending something, some recommendations. When you go and click on these ones, the first one, it's very easy to understand, very simple. It has more phrases than what I just touched today. And it's very easy to understand because she has kind of like an English accent. She's Australian, I think. I believe that she's Australian, but she speaks very slow and it's very easy to understand. Plus, on her videos from M English, the two first videos that I'm recommending, it's she shows a lot of information on the side, on the images that she's using. So it's very, very useful. I'm recommending that a lot. The first one is 10 business English expressions you need to know. Please click on it and go check them. The second one is be professional, never say these at work. It's also some phrases that you should not use because you can get in trouble. So you should also learn those. And there's also another recommendation. There's another professor, 50 phrases in business English, a little more than what we just covered today. Yes, so perfect timing. Let's call it a day. What do you think about it? All right, if you don't have any questions, this is the lesson for today. This has been the lecture. Business phrases, common English business phrases that don't have a direct translation that you're going to be hearing or using when you go to the workforce in just a few months now. And again, like I said, I have a word. My word counts. There is no extra homework for this week because you have a lot of work with the glossary.
Thank
So
you, teacher.
you're
Thanks.
welcome. So we're just gonna call it a day, but we're going to go back to this session next week when we combine the glossary vocabulary and these business English phrases. And then we're gonna do some exercise with them together. All right, let's call it a day. Class dismissed. Stay safe.
Okay,
Remember to
bye.
stay safe. See you later. Bye-bye.
See you
Bye.
later. Bye.
See you later.